It has been a while since I have stretched the legs on a rifle, especially a bolt gun. And for my precision shooters and hunters out there, you know this is an art. If you get one little thing wrong, once you start getting out past 600, 700, 800 yards or meters, you're gonna have some serious deviations of where that bullet's actually going to impact. Overall, needless to say, this Waypoint 2020 we're gonna talk about today from Springfield is very cool and definitely makes your life much easier out there because it is definitely far more capable than myself. And of course, you have to get used to whatever optic you're using out there, whether you're using MIL, MOA, and you've got to know the hold offs inside that optic or how to dial right, or you're gonna have a really long day and a really expensive day because ammo is not cheap. Something we should get out of the way right up front is this rifle is far more capable than me. So when I took this out and did my 100-yard zero with that Crimson Trace hardline, got a video on that as well, I'll link it down below for you. It's a decent midline optic actually. When I did my zero on this thing, I literally at 100 yards was touching bullet to bullet on that zero once I got the thing dialed in, set for that scope. And I saved that target to specifically use for this video and that Crimson Trace video. And I'll be damned if I didn't lose it, so I can't show it to you here, but this thing is capable of far more accuracy than me. And when it comes to precision shooting, as many of you out there may know, with something like this, with a good optic, generally if you miss, it's because you didn't zero it appropriately, you didn't do your holdover right, you don't know your optic, or you just didn't practice your fundamentals. Now, I have been very lucky in my life, both in and out of the military, to serve with some really awesome people that are capable of things I cannot even think of doing behind a rifle, to include competing in that like King of 2 miles competition where they are attempting to shoot like I think a 4x4 steel target at 2 miles. I've got a buddy, I think his personal best is like 1.87 miles or something like that. I'm not even in that realm. I have shot over 1,000 yards before, but it seems to be with modern ammo and optics, the benchmark is really once you get to a mile, you've got a little bit of bragging rights. So I am by no means a proficient long range shooter, but I'm definitely, I guess, a little bit more than a novice, you could say. And with that being said, I had plenty of misses out there that day because we were shooting a pretty small piece of steel, about 10 inches wide out there. And I definitely put a couple rounds right past it.
Right.
Through that one.
Where did that go?
High and right.
High and right. Low right. Right side, low.
I guess no one's perfect, right? Especially not me. Well, let's talk about the specs on this thing, talk about that range experience, and most importantly, would I buy this thing? Because this is a whole lot of rifle. This is a big boy, okay? It is not cheap either. Lots of carbon fiber going on here. And then you gotta have optic money as well if you're gonna get into a bolt gun, a nice long range setup. So would I actually buy this one? Because that's really where the rubber's gonna meet the road. And this one here is a loaner. This is not my own personal rifle. So that's kind of where the rubber's going to meet the road. But getting into those specs, let's talk about what is the Waypoint 2020 from Springfield. This is the model 2020. This is Springfield's latest offering in bolt action for precision shooting or you hunters out there. Now this is gonna have a 22-inch fluted barrel. You can see this one is the carbon fiber wrapped version of that. And these barrels are gonna guarantee a 0.75 MOA of accuracy. And there are people out there that have gotten better accuracy than that at that 100-yard test. This action is based on the legendary Remington 700 action, so where there's a lot of compatibility built right into this. You're gonna have options for carbon fiber stocks, whether it's standard or adjustable. You're gonna have M-LOK and QD points in multiple locations on this, so you can put your bipod legs on there or whatever else you are looking for. And one of the best parts about this is going to be the included Trigger Tech trigger. Now this is a very nice precision grade trigger in here, and it's going to be adjustable as well from 2.5 all the way up to 5 pounds. So you can really dial this into where you want it, whether you're doing precision shooting with this thing or you're doing some good intermediate to long range hunting. This also comes with a standard 20 MOA rail across the top. Again, it is going to have a Remington 700 style thread pitch on there. The bolt is going to be 4140 tool still. It's fluted, has dual lugs, EDM raceways in that action, and then a large ejection port to make sure that brass is going to come well out of that action when you go to load that next round, should you miss like I did. And the bolt handle on this is going to be 90 degrees and removable, so you can put whatever knob of joy you want to put on this thing. And the recoil lug for the stock is actually built in and integral to the action itself to provide you the stiffest engagement with that stock possible. When it comes to the overall profile of this, the total length on this is going to be 43.5 inches, and it's going to come in at an overall weight of 6 pounds and 12 ounces, which is definitely not bad. And that's going to have something to do with that carbon fiber stock. So for my people that are backpack hunters or looking to carry this thing into a position where you're going to be there for a while and have to walk a while back out with it, it's going to be a light carry. There are several other small touches and options when it comes to the 2020 Waypoint, one of which is going to be a very cool laser engraved American flag on the bottom of that trigger guard, which I thought was just a nice touch. You're also going to have a very sleek inline bolt removal button, and of course you're going to have that indicator on the back of the bolt letting you know that you are in battery and ready to fire. When it comes to the color patterns, you're going to have a couple of different camo patterns on there. One's more woodland and one's kind of more of a desert style pattern. And you're also going to have a couple of different options for coloring of the barrel, whether it's going to be Cerakote, carbon fiber wrapped, or a stainless steel. And then finishing that barrel off, you're going to have that nice multi-ported muzzle brake up there, and you can remove that and use a suppressor should you desire. So you know what this thing is all about on paper. Let's talk about the range experience with this thing, how it feels, how it fires, and all the good stuff that comes with this rifle. When firing this thing out there, it feels absolutely solid. Everything from the trigger engagement to how it feels under recoil to working that action. It feels smooth, slick, and it feels tight. Some cheaper bolt guns out there can have a little bit of an odd sandy feeling, or sometimes even a little bit of almost kind of a hum or a wiggle after you pull the trigger and that round goes down range. What I can say on this one is it feels solid and it definitely feels clean. The Trigger Tech trigger in there makes it easy, especially with getting it down nice and light. You're gonna remove some of your problems with your trigger finger getting that light. That Trigger Tech trigger is a nice touch in there. The serrations on there, the feel of it, and the ability to adjust that break weight was a huge help out there on the range, especially having been out of practice for a little bit. Putting round after round down range, that carbon fiber wrap on the barrel definitely helped. We were shooting in 90+ degrees out there. And once you start cranking up the magnification on an optic and you start heating up that gun, you're gonna get a lot of what's called miraging. So you're gonna see like that mirage of the desert like you see in movies, and it's gonna be magnified in that optic. Now, getting that barrel super hot or really hot, or I guess intermediately hot, because you're not gonna get it machine gun hot, you're gonna start to notice that a lot more, especially with some of the more budget-friendly optics. I will say the carbon fiber barrel definitely helped keep that to a minimum. And I was able to just plink out there at that steel. Like I said, it was like a 10x10 or a 10x14 plate I think we were using that day. And we had a little bit past 300 yards. Not the longest thing, but that's what I had to work with that day. And again, I boogered a few and threw a couple off of that because I was using a tripod out there and I'm way too tall for the tripod that I was using, or should have had a bag or something to make myself a little bit more comfortable behind that rifle while I was shooting it. And that's something that just comes with being out of practice. That's why you'll see a lot of precision guys out there have shooting bags either in their arm or on their elbow or something when they're using a tripod, and that's to relieve stress off the body so they don't have to lean into that thing as hard, because any input you put into the tripod or into the gun is ultimately going to be input into that round, which is going to make it fly off target, which is exponentially missing the target, especially at the longer distances. In all, the rifle felt great. Now, this is the first bolt gun I've really spent a good amount of time with in a long time, like several years, a long time. I actually sold all of my bolt guns a while ago because I wasn't using them and I just didn't see myself using them for a while. I hadn't had the time to hunt in a long time, so I just didn't keep them around because I needed some room in the safe. And I really wanted to get another bolt gun because you're never really gonna get that finely tuned bolt gun accuracy out of a semi-automatic like AR-10 style setup. You can get close, but you're just not gonna get that bolt gun precision. I think a lot of people out there know that. If you don't, that's kind of where things can get a little weird with a bolt gun because they react differently, they shoot differently, the barrels react differently, and there's a lot of things that go into precision shooting, from barrel harmonics to length of barrel, twist rates, ammo types. You can go down an extremely long rabbit hole when you get into precision shooting, especially competitive style people, and they are just very intelligent when it comes to math as well. And being able to call shots on the fly, whether it's mil or MOA, there's a lot of things that go into that precision shooting. And I wanted to get back into that just a little bit. But that doesn't mean if you have no long range experience that you can't get into it. Out there, even the camera guy got in on some of this action and was just hammering that steel at 300 plus yards like it was nothing. Finishing up on that accuracy, because that's what everybody really wants to know. This is a sub MOA gun. This is a sub 3/4 MOA gun, and people can do better with that, with it out there. But that's ultimately gonna come down to you or me, the end user, the optic, how you zero it, knowing that optic, knowing the holdover, knowing how to use wind and calls and holds and all that good stuff. But this thing is gonna be capable probably of a lot more than most of your average people. And I think anybody that's ever done a little bit of hunting or long range, it can be a love-hate relationship with it, because at certain distances, you've gotta be really good at what you're doing. And it's not cheap. Everything from the gun to the scopes to the ammo, everything is expensive when you get into really good long range stuff. And talking about that cost, what does the 2020 Waypoint cost? Now sit down, because it's a little bit more expensive than some other things out there. Now the MSRP on this thing, and I wrote it down, $1797 to $2527, depending on the model you pick. And I know some of you are having your significant other search for an AED right now to restart the heart. But let's talk about realistic street price here, because the MSRPs are generally well over what you can find them for. So as of filming this video, I found these from $16.99 to $21.47, depending on the model. So if you want the carbon fiber, the adjustable stock, all that good stuff, and camo patterns, that's gonna be the higher end. If you want the more basic one, obviously that's going to be the lower end. Still pricier than others, and still far cheaper than others out there as well. But knowing that price, the precision, and overall what this thing is, what are my overall thoughts, and would I buy one? Because like I said, this is a loaner. I like the thing. It's cool. It's way more accurate than me, and I think it's something that you can grow into. It's not something you're probably going to grow out of, whether you're a hunter, a guy, a weekend precision shooter. You could probably use this for a match thing as well if you're just getting into it, because you can cross over for a hunting or a precision setup until you start getting into the really high-end chassis guns. So it's a cool gun. You can run it. It's going to be extremely accurate, and I don't think you're going to grow out of it anytime soon. What you have to come to grips with is that this is not going to be the $8.99 combo with a scope that you're going to find in your local sporting goods store. You are going to have far more money in a rig like this. So all that being said, would this have a place in my safe and a place in my heart? And I'm gonna say this one specifically, no, because I'm actually gonna buy the one above this. So I'm gonna buy the adjustable stock carbon fiber version of this, because I dig it, and I want to get a good crossover kind of rifle where I can go hunting with it. It's not too heavy, but I can also take it out and get some bragging rights with it. So I want to try to get well over 1,000 yards with this. It's just tough getting ranges to go that far. Even out here in Arizona, they're always busy. It seems to be there's always something going on at the big long ranges. So that will be coming when I get my own, because when this one goes back, I'm going to buy one for myself, but I want the one with the adjustable stock piece, because few bucks more, why not? Now, is this for you? I don't know, because that's not a small pill to swallow. And remember, you still need to buy a good piece of glass for this. You need to buy a good solid scope to match what this rifle can do. So remember, anytime you're getting into precision stuff, good hunting rifle things, prices generally go way up. And I know everybody out there has their favorites. So I'm really curious to know, what is your favorites, whatever it is, down in the comments down below. Do you dig the Springfield thing? And if you do, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you love bolt guns, hit the subscribe button. If you don't love bolt guns, hit the subscribe button, and then tell me why in the comments you don't love bolt guns. Well, I hope you all liked seeing the 2020 Waypoint. This thing is just absolutely cool, and I can't wait to get my own and put all the things I want to put on it. So you guys get out there in the range, have some fun. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, whether it's a bolt gun or a semi-auto. I will see you guys on the next one.